Alright guys, I did a few things off camera, forgot to press record, but I got my wastegate installed, you can see I got my dump tube on down here as well. Let's try to get a view of it. So I got the spring put in the wastegate, and the way you do that is you have all these Allen bolts around the perimeter of the wastegate. You pull those off, you can swap out your springs inside, and that will determine how much boost the turbo puts to the engine. Once you have those springs changed out, then you compress the whole thing back together and put all your Allen bolts back in. I did go ahead and replace my radiator now. Got that in from FullBlown yesterday. It looks really nice and polished on the top here. And then and you can see I got my Mishimoto dual fan shroud in, and it's very close, but doesn't touch any of the intercooler piping, which is nice. But I really like this fan shroud because the connectors for it are fully plug and play with the S2000, so you just plug it right into the factory harness. I'll clean up all that wiring and zip tie it up and everything later. Alright, so I'm trying to decide what I want to do with my downpipe. You can see the downpipe does sit fairly close to the fuse box. FullBlown recommends that you heat wrap the downpipe, but I don't really want to do that because I just don't like the way it looks. So I think what I'm going to do, I already ordered a piece of titanium that I'm going to make a heat shield out of. But I'm trying to decide if I want to take this fuse box and turn it sideways as well. I might do that temporarily until I decide to relocate it down here inside the fender. So that'll probably be my more permanent solution. But I just don't want to go through all that right now because there's a bunch of wires you have to extend, and I'm just not really wanting to do all that right now. I still have a lot of wiring to do with my AEM Infinity system. So that's just some extra wiring that I don't really want to do right now. I did go ahead and order a heater hose relocation bracket as well. It's not going to be necessary, I don't need it, but that's going to take the heater hoses and flip them off to the side right here. I mean, there's a solid amount of distance between the heater hoses and the downpipe, so I don't think it'd be an issue, but I did it just because I think it'll look cleaner. I guess let me raise up the car and we can take a look at it from the bottom, and y'all can see how everything looks from down there. Alright, so y'all can see that's the dump tube for the wastegate, and it sits perfectly in there. It doesn't come into contact with the subframe or the oil pan or the timing cover. Just fits really nice. So there's the manifold and downpipe from the bottom. Now I'm not putting on the downpipe yet because I'm waiting for another oil filter to come in. With this kit, you have to pull the downpipe off to replace your oil filter. So I'm just waiting on that before I put it all back together. But it's really easy to change out the filter. You just pop one V-band off and pull the filter out, and then pop the V-band back on. But for this episode, I'm going to be pulling the oil pan because we have to have a bung put on right here. And with all the COVID stuff going on right now, I'm probably not going to be able to take it somewhere to have it welded. So I'm just going to drill and tap it and put my 10AN fitting in there. But later on I probably will come back and have the bung actually welded to the oil pan, because I don't want my oil pan to crack over time, so welding will definitely be the better way to go. But I don't know, the drill and tapping, it might work out just fine. We'll have to see. I'll let y'all know how that goes. Also in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and finish installing my radiator. You can see I don't have all the clamps put on, put my radiator tie downs back on, get all the fan wiring cleaned up and routed, and put my sensor back in the bottom of the radiator. So I'll get the camera set up and I'll get started on that first, and then we'll come in and do the oil pan. Alright, so with the oil pan, I went ahead and removed it from the car, cleaned it all out, and then I drilled and tapped a hole in the oil pan, and then installed this bung in there for the oil return line. And then I just took some Honda Bond and put it on the threads. Now this actually has a little gasket down in there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has a gasket with an O-ring inside the gasket that'll help seal it up against the pan. But I went ahead and put some Honda Bond on there anyways, because I'm just not sure about this setup to begin with. But it should do for now until I can have the bung welded onto the oil pan. But I got it all cleaned up, so now I'm just going to clean the rest of this old Honda Bond off of here and put some fresh on there and get it back on the car. By the way, if you're not using Honda Bond on these oil pans, make sure you do that. It just works so much better than the stuff that you buy at auto parts store, the Permatex. It seals way better, and that's just what it's supposed to come with. Alright, well, let me get to cleaning this stuff up and we'll get it all back on the car. Get my return line finished. Alright, so got my oil filter on, and that's all tightened down. So I'm going to go ahead and permanently mount the downpipe and So it comes in two pieces. You have one piece that goes across and down right here, and then another piece that connects and goes down and back towards, and then that will connect to the rest of the exhaust. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that right now. The kit comes with these V-bands. So these are what you're gonna use to attach all these pieces. And then you can see this one here has your other V-band that you're gonna weld onto your exhaust. And they do include that with your kit, so that's nice. So all you have to do is cut your exhaust, weld this V-band on there, and then attach it up to your downpipe. And here's the other piece of the downpipe. You can see it's got a nice flex joint in it. But I'll get this unwrapped and we'll get it installed. Alright, so I got my downpipe put on. Fits really nice. Doesn't rub on anything. You can see up in there. It clears the manifold. There's a gap between the V-band and the manifold. It all just fits in there really nice. You can see right here, it does not touch the frame rail. It clears everything perfectly. It looks really, really good in there. So the only thing I have left to do is bring this to my fabricator, and we're gonna cut off this flange that goes to the header, and then extend this piece and weld on another V-band here. And then that way it'll just be V-banded right here, and then V-banded here. And that section will come off together. And then I'll also have him put in a bone for the primary O2 sensor. The secondary O2 sensor isn't going to be used anymore, so we can just leave that one there. It's not going to make any difference whether we have it or not. But that's pretty much it for the exhaust. I did want to mention, because I just put this return line on, that don't use a drill and tap fitting. They don't work. You can see this one is loose on the pan, so I will be taking that back off, the whole oil pan, and bringing that down in my fabricator, and he's just going to weld the bung onto the oil pan. Now, I've already drilled the hole and everything, so my return line won't be affected by it. It'll still be in the exact same spot. So it's not a big deal. But I was just trying this out to see if it would work. But just an FYI, it does not work, so don't try it. And here's the top view of everything installed. You can see you got my V-band tightened down there to the turbo. And then got my V-band tightened down right here. It looks like this line's close, but it's really not. You can see there's a good 1/4 inch between the chassis and the downpipe there. So I shouldn't have any problems with the downpipe rattling. It's nice and solid, and then you do have that flex joint down there. like I said before, I am going to be relocating this. It is pretty close to the downpipe, and then with an O2 sensor sticking up right here, it'll just be better that this is going to be over here. Now, I mean, it's 100% doable. Like this, you just put a piece of heat wrap around this hose and you'd be just fine. But I like the looks of it relocated off to the side, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that anyways. Oh, and I got my carbon fiber crossbeam cover put back in here. So I actually cut it into 2 pieces and then just slid it underneath the turbo over here. And then you can see right here, I cut it out around the return line fitting. So it fits in there real nice and looks good. That crossbeam is pretty ugly to look at, so it's nice being able to have that cover on there. And this was just a cheap, eBay carbon fiber cover, so I'm not real concerned about cutting it up. But yeah, it's coming together really nice. The car looks fantastic. That's pretty much it for the full-blown kit install. I am going to build my own heat shield that comes up right here, and I did decide that I'm going to turn the fuse box sideways like this. So I'm just going to make a little bracket and do that. But that's pretty much it for the full-blown kit install. That'll be really my last video. But I will be doing more with the car, and I'll be recording all that as well. I still have to put my injectors in, put my new fuel rail on, install the AEM system, the AEM Infinity, and I'll be running all the sensors for that as well. So I'm going to be running a oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel pressure, and then the O2 sensor. It'll be a wideband sensor. If y'all want to see that, stay tuned for that. I will be releasing videos shortly. And also, while I have that oil pan off, I'm going to go ahead and have a 1/8 NPT fitting welded onto it for my oil temperature. So it's kind of a good thing that fitting didn't work out, because now I can go ahead and put my oil temperature sensor in the pan. That's going to be it for this FullBlown Motorsports full bolt-on turbo kit install. I really like the kit. I highly recommend it to anybody that's looking to turbo their S2000. Whatever your power goals are, this kit will be more than enough for what you need. Hey guys, I found a solution to mounting the fuse box to keep it away from the downpipe. Now you can see I have a ton of space in between the downpipe and the fuse box. So here's what I did. I unbolted the fuse box from right here, and it had a bracket set right here. So I unbolted that bracket, and normally this EPS module sits right here. So it bolts in with 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here. I just moved that over a set of bolt holes, so it has 2 bolts in here, and as you can see, it's not going anywhere. And then I used the other 2 bolt holes from the EPS and made myself a little bracket, just a little L bracket, and bolted that in the factory location, and then just put a riv nut and put a bolt through here, and did the same thing over here. Just found a little L bracket and bent it the way I needed to, drilled a hole and put a riv nut in there. So now I have a good solid fuse box solution that looks nice and will keep it protected from the heat. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see here, and stay tuned for the rest of this build. The full-blown kit may be done, but this build is not over. Alright guys, later.